think I'll try a squid jig. They're not catching squid off here, but they are catching cuttlefish. The past few strolls I've had, I've been watching them, and I've seen them catch scad, some kind of tiny croupier type fish, cuttlefish, and that's about it. I've only spent a few minutes here. I think there's probably a wide variety of species you can catch. But I'm going to try this. Well, this fishing tackle shop, it really was a treasure trove of different types of nets and traps and rakes that the French used to catch various different types of shellfish. They really make a big deal out of it, and I really enjoyed seeing all the different forms of equipment. And it's something I really enjoy doing, going to a local tackle shop when I'm in a new country. You really get a flavour of the type of fishing techniques they use. Anyway, so the purpose of the visit, it was to get some squid/cuttlefish jigs. I chose this was my first one. It was pretty difficult to make a choice. There were so many, and in the end I didn't think it mattered too much, except I was just after some bright colours because that's what I'd seen them catch the cuttlefish on when I had a stroll the previous night. This was a fairly small one. I don't think it was designed to be used as a standalone jig. I think you put it onto a paternoster rig and have a weight at the bottom. I couldn't actually find any jigs with adequately built-in weight so you could cast them. So, you'll see later how I ended up dealing with that. Anyway, I chose this green one. You can see the grapnels there. There's no hooks on these jigs. They're just grapnels, and all that happens is when the cuttlefish throw out their tentacles, the squid as well, they just get trapped on those grapnels, and it's a fairly safe way of catching them, fairly reliable way of catching them. And then my second choice was this nice pink lure, this pink jig, which is another Japanese make, so probably pretty good quality. It seemed good to me. Like I say, previous night I'd seen them catching on bright coloured lures, especially pink. So this was 11 grams, which turned out not to be enough in the end. But you'll see how I got on later with this and the solutions to kind of give it a little bit more weight. And then, after searching high and low, I did finally find a truly weighted squid jig. However, it was pretty small. This was only about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, which is okay size actually. That's all I was after. I was thinking about getting something bigger, but they were too heavy, probably better used off a boat. And I remember when I used to fish a rock mark called Hope's Nose down in Torquay in Devon in the United Kingdom many years ago. I used to watch people use these sorts of jigs, though they were orange in colour, and I recall from the local tackle shops that they were pretty much the only squid jigs available to buy at that time. I mean, nowadays you have a massive array, and it's a popular thing to do, but then people were just targeting them around October and November for bait, and occasionally they would pull up some really nice squid, probably a loligo variety species of squid. So I was quite pleased to find this, although in the end I didn't even use it, at least not on this trip. But it's in my tackle box now, and if ever I think the squid might be far out in deeper water when I'm casting from the shore, I'll take this one out of the box and see how we get on with it. Everything back in its place. Try and stay organised. It does make life easier and fishing. Right, okay, let's give this a go. Pretty slow sinking lure. I've noticed the other guys, they're putting a bit of weight above their squid jigs. I did try to find better weighted jigs in the shop, but it's not possible. And the last guy I saw catching a cuttlefish just dropped it down the side. Oh, this guy's got one. Let's watch this. There it is. Nice cuttlefish. This is so slow sinking, definitely needs something. It's just coming to the surface immediately and it's taking ages to sink. So we're going to have to do something here. Either that or I'll just be patient. They seem to be working their jigs really gently. Hardly winding, so I'm just going to copy what they do. Well, it's all very well saying we're going to copy what they do, but because there's no weight on my jig, it's just drifting in towards me with this wind. I'm going to persevere for a couple more minutes. If this doesn't work, I'll just add some weight. So it's not pretty, but this is the only thing I could think of to make that work, that weight problem. So just, the only thing I had was a ball weight. Just cut the line off the, what do you call it, the clip here. Put a ball weight on the line. Come in. Bonjour.
C'est quoi ce que vous avez attrapé?
Je ne sais pas les mots en français, mais cuttlefish.
Where are you from?
Yeah.
What did you catch?
Yeah, it's a cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish?
Yeah, yeah, so nice to eat.
Good game.
So what you're looking at here is the cuttle bone of a cuttlefish. There isn't actually a bone because cuttlefish are invertebrates. In other words, they don't have a backbone. They're actually marine mollusks and they belong to the class Cephalopoda or cephalopods, which also includes squid, octopuses and nautiluses. And this cuttle bone is an incredibly important component of the cuttlefish's anatomy because it does two things principally. It provides support to the animal, but also helps it to control its buoyancy. And it does that because although they're difficult to make out here, this cuttle bone does actually contain chambers. And what the cuttlefish is able to do is control the amount of liquid content in those chambers, which in turn regulates the amount of gas content, and that in turn allows the cuttlefish to maintain different levels of buoyancy within the water column. Did the job, first cast. First cast, once I changed the method, I caught the cuttlefish. I mean, it was clear after like 5 casts that lure was never gonna, well, I mean, it might have caught something, but it would have taken a long time. So I just, the weight just adds a lot of efficiency. It just gets that jig down to where it should be quicker. And to show you just how seriously the French take their fish, I really couldn't resist taking some footage of this absolutely beautiful display of fish in a local fishmonger that I went to earlier that morning so I could just get a single squid for bait. And it was amazing. That's such beautiful fish. It wasn't the biggest fishmonger I've ever been in. It wasn't like a fish market, but the display they had was stunning. Turbot, you can see there's some mackerel, looks like some hake there, some gilt-head bream. They call them dorade royale. Numerous types of shellfish, some really big, beautiful bass, big gurnards, razorfish, tuna, some more hake, some more gurnards, different types of bream, and yeah, there's some squid there. That's the squid I ended up getting for my bait, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing, and it smelled so fresh, and that's how fresh fish shouldn't smell of fish. It should just smell of the ocean. It should just smell really fresh. Some nice shellfish here as well, some scampi, also known as langoustines or nephrops or Dublin Bay prawns. Anyway, back to the fishing. just some footage here to show this guy who was catching scad. He was using a tiny float. It wasn't a sliding float, so it was like a coarse fishing float, and he was using a long beach ledgering type rod, looked like about 14 foot, and using about a 9-foot trace with some fish bait, and he was catching scad, and then he caught this enormous scad. It doesn't actually look that big when he brings it ashore, but it really was. The camera somehow kind of takes away the size of it, but it was a big fish. And scad, I think they're much underrated fish. They are delicious for one, once you cut off the spiny outer skin. They're also one of our only, in these waters, one of our only jacks type fish, type fish like pompanos and trevallies. So they're hard fighting, they're very tasty. They're undervalued fish, I think, both in terms of food quality and catching quality. You only have to look at their pectoral fins to see the similarity between scad and fish like trevallies. You can just about make out those pectoral fins. He's holding it here. But, yeah, very nice fish. That boat's getting quite close now to my line. It's annoying. I'm going to pick it up. Further out, I'm twice the distance out than they are, so I've got to wind in now, otherwise they're going to hook me up. Well, I'm going to hook them up. And then one of us would have to untangle the other's line. It's worse for him though, because look, there's the bait coming. Bob's already. Just can't hook these fish, they're out there. This could be the one. This could be the one that catches it. Catches those menacing little bream. I'm sure they're bream. Well, it may be small, but I was delighted with this. This was my very first Sargo, as they're colloquially known. White seabream, I think, is another term for them, and the Latin name is Diplodocus sargus. Very beautiful fish, good eating, I believe, but obviously that was too small. They do grow much larger, and I think they have quite a large range from Brittany all the way down the west coast of France, Spain, Portugal, Africa, all the way down to this Namibian coastline, I think. But yeah, that was a first for me. So small, but I was very happy with that. So I put on that little chunk of squid, cast out again, and hoped for another one, but that was the only one I had. Continued to get those small plucky bites. Bait continued to get robbed. I probably would have had to have gone right down to very small baits and like number 8 or 10 hooks, which I just didn't have. But didn't matter. I was happy with that.